This will be an introduction on how to create your social media strategy, why it really shouldn't be scary, and how to create your own in 4 steps. We'll discuss the key elements of a social media strategy and how can you get more organized by creating your own one. And the goal is to use social media with a clear purpose. You want to become more efficient, you want to save time. So hopefully this session will inspire you to harness the power of social media so that you'll be able to make the most of your campaigns and anything you're planning on. First of all, just a quick introduction about Lightful. You'll probably have a better chat with Emma and make sure you plan a Calendly invite just to learn more. But Lightful is a technology company for social good. We're working with charities and beyond profits to help make the most of technology. And we're supporting organizations and provide access to technology so that you organize your social media platforms and having the ability to tell your own story in the most efficient way. And you should be able to learn more about us, and hopefully we'll be able to help you within this program. And as we mentioned before, I also try to help you from my side with the content check-ins. It will be an analysis of your social media presence. I'll try to keep an eye on what you're planning. We can have a chat about it, and I could try to help you share some tips on the best practices for every platform. So you should receive within the next days a personalized document from me with some ideas, having a look at your own social presence. And we'll be able to have further chats if you'd like to share some feedback, tell us what your concerns or how can we really help you through the platform. Starting with the power of social media, an introduction on why do we feel that social media can really be an important part of your organization. What makes social media important then? Well, it's the fact that your organization can really benefit. You can use it in several different ways. You can raise awareness for your cause. You can mobilize support, find new followers and fans who can really help you spread the word about your message. But you can also raise funds. And the good thing with them is that you can do all of this at the same time. All you need is the social media strategy and the ideas to make sure that you're balancing your content. So this is what we're going to talk about today on how to create your social media strategy. When we talk about the social media strategy, it usually sounds a bit scary. When you say, I need a big document as a social media strategy, it sounds a bit daunting. So we tend to forget it, we tend to ignore it, or we feel that it's really time consuming, so we don't really spend the time to do it in the end. So the idea is just to encourage you to have a think of what it means to be more strategic on social media and how can we make sure that we can just add some tips on our daily basis to just get more organized on social media. In reality, a social media strategy is the link between the theory and the practice. It's what comes between your daily posting, what you're actually posting on your actual channels, and what you have in mind as a goal, as what you'd like to achieve. So it's pretty much the reminder that you'd like to do more things, you want to be more organized, you want to be more effective with social media, but you're not always having the time, so this is where the strategy comes in. And in the end, the ideal goal is to discover new opportunities, to feel that there's a different way to use social media without necessarily spending more time. It's just, again, being more strategic. We'll talk today about 4 different elements on what could make a social media strategy. It's a really simple framework that can help you get an idea of what a social media strategy can include. It doesn't have to be, again, time-consuming or something that is really scary. So we're trying to focus on 4 main elements. It has to do with the goals, the personas, the planning, and the content. So how do these 4 can be mixed together, and what do we really mean with all of them? We're starting with the goals. How do your goals fit into your social media strategy? A good way to start with your social media strategy is to write down your goals. Why do you need to write them down? It's usually easier when you say that I'm actually spending the time to write down my goals, to be more organized and have a clear understanding of what you'd like to achieve. You can just, for example, answer these three questions. Why are we doing this? What's the main reason that you're starting with a new idea, for example? What do you want to accomplish? This is where you actually set the goal of what you'd actually like to achieve. And then how are you going to achieve this? Is there a specific way, a specific tactic? How can you really plan to say that I'm going to improve this goal and I'm going to set some specific tactics? For example, you may say, I want to reach a new audience, so I want to use social media more. Then it turns to a goal. You can say, I want to increase my Twitter followers, so that gets more specific. The next question is, how are you going to achieve it? So in this case, you may start using more hashtags. You can just take new ideas and find inspiration from other accounts. Or you can just start being more engaging so that you find new opportunities to grab your attention from your supporters. So this way, you just start being more strategic simply by setting down the goals and say that I'm having quite a clear idea of what I'd like to achieve with social media. Feel free to leave any questions. I'll be making sure that I'm answering all the time. And we're getting into personas. This is the second element, and it has to do with a better understanding about your audience. What do we mean by personas? They are the fictional characters that represent your target audience, and they help you understand your supporters. Personas can help you learn more about them. These are the fictional characters that just help you create more successful content. So this way you can have more successful campaigns. All you need is to make sure that you really know what you want from your supporters and what they really expect from you. So you want to answer the questions. Why do they give? What's the stage of their life? What are the demographics that you want to target? And you can also go beyond this and get into more specific details. What are the values that are aligned with your cause? Why are they really motivated? So that they really find the connection between the cause and the messaging that you're having. If you are able to start spending some time before creating the content on your ideal personas, those fictional characters that can really help you improve your messaging, you might be surprised with the details and what the actual results can be. The next part has to do with the planning, and this is usually the best part in order to get more organized and avoiding spending time on social media without a clear purpose. What do we mean by planning? So it's usually sound a bit threatening when you say, I want to get organized. So you want to make sure that you're planning as many things as possible so that you save time on your day-to-day basis. And here are all the different things you can plan. You can start by scheduling your content so that you can just spend half an hour or an hour during your week. For example, you can do it on Monday and say that I'm planning some posts ahead. You can also organize your goals in a way that we've just mentioned so that you make sure that you're keeping track of what you'd like to achieve. You can also organize your resources. Do you have blog posts or do you have some photos that you've used in the past, or would you like to promote a campaign that you've had? All these resources, images, videos, content can be really useful, but sometimes it's time consuming if you're not organized. And of course, a big part of the planning is also focusing on your campaigns. You want to make sure that you're trying to save time by organizing your content, by making sure that everything is ready so that when you actually launch your campaign, you know what you're going to do and what you'd like to achieve. This way, once you start getting more organized, you can also improve the collaboration in your team. You're keeping everyone accountable, you're having a clear idea of what everyone is working on, and also you're saving time from your daily routine. This way, you're also improving the success, and you feel better by knowing that everyone is more organized and that you just feel that you're aware of what's coming up. A good way to use to get more organized is to use the Lightful platform that we've mentioned, and some of you have already tried it out. You can plan your content, you can see the calendar so that you keep track of all the awareness days that are coming up, so that you can help your organization schedule the content, organize the campaigns, or even tell your story. And of course, usually when we're starting with organizing our content, we tend to start with a spreadsheet. It's our old classic favorite way to just load all the tweets in one place so that we just schedule what's coming up. Spreadsheets are great, I love them and I've used it quite a lot. But the truth is, it's not really the best way when you want to organize your images, for example. So that was the idea when we created Latful. We want to make sure that we do offer a visual approach so that you can actually see your content, see it presented in a great and visual way, so that you are more organized and you don't have to spend the time again to find the right images or just make sure that everything is loaded correctly. And going beyond in the time planning, if you're still wondering, these are all sound good at a theoretical level, but how can I really get organized when I'm working on a day-to-day basis with social media? An easy way to organize your time is to apply the so-called rule of thirds. This is a good way to focus on all the different tasks that can make your social presence more effective. You want to use the time to schedule your next post. You want to check your accounts if there's anything important coming up, but you also want to engage with your supporters. If you use your time to simply, for example, schedule your next post, you're missing a key part of social media, which is to actually be social. So you want to use your social channels to interact with your supporters. You want to hear their message. You want to make sure that the content that you actually create resonates with them. So even if you're busy, you can still say, I'm dedicating half an hour during my week so that I'm engaging and monitoring my presence. And you will realize after a few weeks, for example, that your presence will be better because you understand more your supporters. And once you also create your personas, it will be easier for you to create more successful campaigns. And then we're going to the content. This is the fourth element of the social media strategy, and it's probably one of the most important components of it. Your content is probably taking the most of the time when you're actually organizing what you want to do with social media. And that's why you need to be more efficient and have a clear plan. It's common for everyone, for all of us, to ask, what should I post? You're starting the week, you're not really sure what to do on social media, but you'd like to keep your accounts fresh. So a good way to keep track of it is, for example, you can have a look on Twitter to get more inspiration. You can use Lightful's inspiration feature to search for hashtags so that you keep track of what's relevant for your accounts. You might feel that there's something that's really important for you coming up, and some people are already tweeting about it, so why not jump the conversation? You might get inspiration to decide on the best channels to use. For example, which channel is the most successful for you? Is there a specific reason that you're using one of them? And if there's really no engagement, should you maybe consider changing your approach? And then you want to actually confirm how often you want to post. What's the ideal frequency in your case? There's no need to be an ideal targeting in this case, but it's good for you to keep an eye on what's working and be able to reevaluate all your decisions. And then the last question, which is also really important, who should be involved in your content creating process? For example, is it just you actually creating the content? Do you need some help? Do you feel that someone else in your team can also create content for you? All these questions can get you more organized so that you feel that you're really having a plan in mind and you're getting the most of your social presence. And they don't really need to be time consuming, but all you need is having a plan in mind and trying to follow it. If you want to be even more organized, if you feel that now I think I can do this, so I'd like to get more into the idea of creating a content calendar, here are 4 easy steps that you just say, I'm creating my own content calendar, which is pretty much a plan of what I'd like to post and how this can help me for my organization. First of all, you need to decide on the content you want to create. Whether it's a campaign or an event, it's the time to think of the posts that you need to create. Next, it's the time to involve your team. Whether you want to brainstorm ideas or just ask your help or delegate some tasks, teamwork can always make you more creative. Sometimes even a different person, a different team can really help you get a new understanding and feel more creative. Once you have the ideas ready, it's time to start planning your content and your campaigns. And then last but definitely not least, you need to analyze the performance of your posts once they're published. We've got the idea of Lightful's analytics, for example, to help you measure the success of your posts and your campaigns. So we've tried to measure what's important for your social channels, so you can have a quick look and see what was the best performing post for me, which post had the most likes, and which one had the most clicks for me. This is a good way to think, is my post successful? Do I need to reconsider my so-called strategy? Do I need to change some ideas? It's a helpful way to also measure your success and maybe update your team just to make a case on the value of social media in this case. So just to summarize, because obviously there were quite a lot of them as a start, but we'll definitely mention more of them into the next webinars and our next content. These are the 4 elements that make up your social media strategy. They are the 4 steps that can help you feel more confident about your social media skills. You start by setting the goals of your social media presence. You create the personas that will help you understand your supporters. You organize your content, and then you're ready to publish it. It's a process that will make you more productive, while you'll also be saving time once you get used to the whole idea. This could be a really simple framework on how to create your social media strategy, and it's quite a good way to keep that in mind once you get more into the idea that you start being more strategic. It doesn't have to be, again, time-consuming. It's just keeping in mind that this is what makes my social media strategy. And it can be really helpful even just by keeping that in mind from now on. What's useful to remember is that social media is more than just a channel that can help you find some new supporters, for example. It's useful to see it as the bigger picture. Social media can be part of your supporter journey. It's not just one opportunity to find, for example, a new donor. It's just seeing that as a further idea of your digital strategy. You want to make sure that it's not just a one-off opportunity, but it's something that can help you prove that it's a really good way to find it in your consistent planning, whether it's for fundraising, finding new volunteers, or just improve the awareness of your cause. Even the simplest approach to measure the success of your social posts can prove the value of your social media strategy. And we know that sometimes it's not really easy to prove the worth of why do you need to spend the time on social media, whether it's your manager, your CEO, or someone else. So a good way to get more organized and create your social media strategy can help you prove this success that sometimes it's harder. And as we've mentioned in the beginning, what's important and the reason that we want to create a social media strategy is to use social media with a purpose. After all, we all want to set our goals. We don't want to waste our time, and we want to make sure that everything that we're doing has a really clear objective in mind. We believe that social media clearly can make a great addition to your organization's plans so that you can raise awareness, you can improve the engagement, but also you can raise more funds and find new donors. So once you get organized and you feel that I'm feeling more confident, I can use social media with clear objectives in mind, or you can just follow this framework that we've just mentioned, you'll feel that you can do more with social media, and we'll actually be happy to be part of this journey. And now, hopefully, you're getting an understanding, at least I gave you an idea of what we're going to discuss with the RUN program. I'd love to hear from you and answer any questions you might have.